Futures in Fundraising is presented by Alexander Haas. Alexander Haas, transforming institutions that transform lives.
Hey there, fundraisers and philanthropists. Jared Howard again. We got another episode of Futures in Fundraising for you. We've got Adam Walker here in the house. How's it going, Adam?
It's great. How are you?
Doing great.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
I'm glad to be here. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Adam is the co-founder of Sideways 8. So Adam, before we dive into Sideways 8,
Okay.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? Who is Adam Walker?
My background is convoluted. I think I'm on career number 3, so I'll try to skip some of the more mundane details, right? So let's see. Husband first, father of 5 second. So got a lot of kids. We drive a school bus. It's cool, you know. And I've founded quite a few things. So, I think the first thing I founded was in high school, started a nonprofit. And then I've started another nonprofit and another nonprofit, and then at least 1 to 2 companies. So I'm somewhere in the 4 to 5 founding range, I think. And so far 2 are still operating. So I guess those are good odds. I don't know.
Obviously love downtime.
Yeah, I mean,
really love
listen,
to
I don't
not
like
be busy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to do anything.
No.
Let's just hang out. I just watch a lot of TV.
So tell me a little bit more about these nonprofits that you started.
Yeah, well, in high school, we started a nonprofit, some friends and I, and we just decided to do some stuff. So there's an area in kind of the downtown part of Atlanta that was not so nice at that time, Little 5 Points. So it's a little different now, but back at that time, there's a ton of homeless people just hanging out down there. So we would go down there and we'd give them like coffee and tea and lemonade, and we would give them blankets and pillows and just hang out with them and talk to them. And that was a lot of fun. I learned a lot from that. And we also operated for a brief time like a coffee house in the basement of a church as like a hangout for college students.
Wow, yeah.
So that was like on a Friday night sort of thing. We'd have bands come and play, and we'd operate and just do coffee and everything else. That was great. And we put together a couple of little youth rallies. So it was like more of a ministry. And so we'd have like bands and speakers and stuff. So we did that for my senior year of high school and then into my first year of college. And then that just, college is sort of, you have other stuff going on.
Yeah.
Like classes and stuff,
No,
right? So we let that go from that point forward. And then, let's see, the next nonprofit I started, I guess, was actually a church. So I did found a church. And it did not last very long, so it was an interesting experience. Yeah, I enjoyed the experience. I don't want to repeat the experience, I don't think. And but I learned a lot from it. And then that sort of fed into this whole time I did digital marketing. Like my first client for digital marketing was in I want to say 2001 when my aunt called and said, "Hey, I think you're a technical guy, and I have a client that needs help with their website. Can you figure it out?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, sure, I'll figure it out. Yeah, why not?" And so that was my first client. We're actually building, I think, his 5th website with us right now. As a matter of fact, yeah. So it's kind of crazy. And so
obviously he doesn't like your work.
Yeah, he doesn't like us at all. Yeah, yeah. he's been amazing. And so yeah, I just kind of said yes. I'll take that work on. And then more work came, and yes, I'll take that work on too. And more work came, and yes. And so then the church plant sort of fell apart, and I just kept taking on more work, and that eventually turned into a company, and Sideways 8 was born.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Sideways 8.
Yeah.
So talk about the mission of Sideways 8.
I like to say we love to design, build, improve, and maintain marketing websites. So we love to build really amazing sites for all kinds of different companies, though we do tend to specialize a little bit. So we've got a lot of clients in a lot of different areas, like trucking companies and software companies, and even my oldest client, which is a sewing machine sales store, oddly enough. Interestingly enough, right?
Yeah.
And but in terms of specialties, we actually do a lot of nonprofit website work. Sideways 8 does in particular. So we do a lot of complex website work for different nonprofits, API integrations, development, things like that, and really help them to tell their story, improve their fundraising, and just different things that are important to nonprofits.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So front end and back end.
Oh yeah. Very heavy development, heavy on the marketing strategy, heavy on the storytelling in particular, because if they can't tell their story,
that's the most
what's
important.
the point?
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, great.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So I want to tease this a little bit before we go into the second half of the episode.
Okay.
But we're going to talk about 48 and 48.
Yeah.
Can you give us just kind of a high level what is 48 and 48? Because we're going to dive into it a little bit more after the break.
The short answer is we do events to build 48 websites for 48 nonprofits in 48 hours. That's the elevator pitch. And this year we're doing 4 events, and we want to continue to expand. So we did 1 event in 2015, 2 events 2016, 4 events 2017. Now, I don't think we'll keep doubling, but,
So basically, how much coffee can I drink in 48 hours, right?
There's coffee, there's Red Bull. What's interesting is people do sleep. We can talk about that. People do sleep. You got to sleep.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
48 hours. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So,
we have your best ideas when you sleep, right?
I think you have your best ideas when you sleep, and you have interesting ones when you don't sometimes.
That's true. That's true. All right, fundraisers and philanthropists, we'll be right back. And when we come back, Adam is going to tell us more about this 48 and 48 and what that looks like. So stay tuned.
Haas is a fundraising consulting firm headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia. One of the unique features of our firm is that all of our consultants have 25 or 30 years of experience, and all of us have headed up a major development shop. This means that when there's a challenge, most likely several of us have seen that before and know how to handle it.
All right, welcome back, fundraisers and philanthropists. Adam Walker in the house. And before we took a break, we kind of teased 48 and 48.
Yeah.
So, Adam, I want to dive in.
Let's do it.
All the way into 48 and 48. I want you to talk us through that entire 48 hours.
Man, yeah,
just don't take 48 hours.
Yeah, well, okay, let's just buckle in. We're gonna be here for a while. So it starts with minute number 1. So you want to know how does the event work?
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So essentially, it's a Friday night to a Sunday night, and the team. So the nonprofits are not on site typically, so I can explain that. But the teams arrive, and there's kind of like a commingling, networking sort of vibe. We'll have a band playing sometimes. We'll have food. We always feed them great food and lots of food. That's key. Lots of food. And they'll get there. They'll divide into the teams. They'll start going through the creative briefs and the brand briefs that we've created for the nonprofits that they've given us all the information. And then the team will start figuring out what other questions they have. And so then they'll contact the nonprofit, ask them questions, and then they get to work. The end of the first night should have at least the homepage done. That's the goal.
Yep.
Which is ambitious, but it can be done. First night, and I say first night, maybe first morning, right? Maybe 1 a.m. or something like that. And then Saturday, same thing. They're just going through it. They're working out all the details. They're making sure all the sub pages look good. They're making sure the services page is good. They're throwing together the donation page and making sure it's hooked up and is it working and testing it. And then really Sunday is almost all testing. So is it all working correctly, Right. So you've got like a whole team that goes through and does quality assurance all day Sunday to figure out okay, what's working, what's not, what do we need to fix, what do we need to have done by 5 o'clock, because the site's going live at 5 o'clock. So we are building the sites and taking them live on Sunday evening.
Wow.
Which is very ambitious and a little crazy and lots of fun.
Yeah. Okay. So before it even happens,
right,
before everybody meets up on Friday night, there's a lot of preparation that goes into that.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about that. First of all, how do you find these nonprofits? How do they apply?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we start putting the word out with umbrella nonprofits. So in Atlanta, that's United Way, that's Hands on Atlanta, places like that. And they start blasting it out to their list, letting these smaller nonprofits know, hey, there's this opportunity. Now, what's interesting is in every city we go to, it's almost so we need volunteers, we need sponsors, and we need nonprofits to put an event together. So volunteers is usually easy. Sponsors are surprisingly easy. Nonprofits, not easy. It's
really?
They're so busy doing their own thing,
you're right,
that they don't know that it's available to them. So we have to get out in multiple channels and get them in. And so they fill out an interest form. They go through a tech vetting process. Can we help them? Do they match our basic criteria? If that's a yes on both of those accounts, then they go through course 1. Course 1 is kind of like okay, sign the legal documents, do this, get your stuff ready technically for this. Then they get approved. Then they go into courses 2 and 3, which is where they go through like a branding questionnaire, a content questionnaire, and really give us a lot of information that we need to know to build the sites.
Right.
And then course 3 is where they actually go and they drop just raw information into a website for us. So they create an About Us page, they copy and paste the text in, they throw in their, founders, ugly mug on there, pretty mug on there, whatever, and my ugly mug, right? And then they put it all together, and so then it's just kind of this we have the raw materials at that point to work with on the weekend itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you mentioned the cities that you work in. What are those cities?
So this year, we've already done Boston, which went great. It was really fun. Had a lot of great support from the Boston digital marketing community. And I got to go up there, and I took one of my kids with me, which was great. And I really helped to build a lot of sites. It was great.
Yeah.
And then we've got coming up in about, I think, 5 weeks, we got Minneapolis coming up. Mm-hmm. And then Atlanta after that, and then New York City after that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's gonna be a blast.
And you're looking to grow that, right?
We do. Yeah, we want to grow. So we've already been to London to pave the way to have a London event, and that'll likely be about a year from now.
Okay.
And then we're talking about sort of what is the 6th event. So we'll probably have 6 events in 2018, I would say. We're just trying to figure out what 6 events we have.
Well, nice.
Yeah, we want to go back to every city we've already been in, because year number 2 is obviously a lot easier than year number 1.
Right.
There. So we want to continue to go back there, but then we want to expand beyond that.
Well, that's fantastic, man. So what should nonprofits do if they want to get involved with this?
They should hop on over to 48in48.org and go to their city-specific site and apply. And so if you're if you're a nonprofit and you're in the general area of New York City or Minneapolis or Boston, well, I guess Boston's coming next year now, or Atlanta, then you should definitely apply. I mean, you don't necessarily have to be in the city, but you have to kind of serve the general area in some kind of capacity.
Right. Same thing for volunteers?
Volunteers, I mean, we'll take anybody.
Yeah.
If you want to travel to New York City, then you should travel and volunteer. I think that's a great.
Absolutely.
It's travel volunteerism.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's a great excuse to go to New York
and
City.
then volunteer, pick up a show.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do that?
Just
in New
go
York?
there a week early, hang out.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
great. It's a great place to hang out.
And sponsors too. I'm assuming. If you're gonna give money.
Yeah, I mean, just go to New York City and do it there.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah. There's nothing stopping you.
No, not at all. Well, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we've taken care of we've hit everything.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
That was my pleasure. This was a lot of fun.
We were just quick and dirty on this thing.
I'm usually pretty brief.
Well, hey.
That's one of my things.
I appreciate that. I do
Straightforward.
appreciate that.
Candid and brief.
Yeah,
That's the goal.
absolutely. You definitely did not have me. No.
I keep you laughing. I didn't see any
Absolutely.
dancing, though. I need some more dancing.
Oh,
That's good. That's a good move. You should do more of that. Yeah, that's great.
I get that a lot. Well, Adam, thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thanks. My pleasure.
Well, yeah. Well, fundraisers and philanthropists, head on over to 48in48.org for more information on 48 and 48. Hope you can volunteer with that or just check it out. All right. Well, thanks, Adam.
Thanks, man. This is fun.
Likewise. And for now, we'll say take it easy, and we'll catch you on the flip side.